Thank you. On my left, after Ahmed, is Cecilia Nyawira. And Cecilia is here specifically to give an HR perspective of this interesting conversation. Cecilia is the principal for Miller Cameroon. So as your people get poached, especially senior people, Cecilia is here to help you fill in the gaps. Get poached. Harry, you started being a heckler, mapema sana.
I didn't bring my team.
And you haven't finished your Kahawa Thungu.
My team is not here for poaching.
Cecilia will also. And this guy.
Enough that I can't afford any poaching.
This George Njuguna is talking out of turn. George Njuguna is talking out of turn.
Nimepata Kahawa Thungu. Hata ukinitusi venye unataka.
Ni nani amekupatia ruhusa kuongea kabla?
Nimepata Kahawa Thungu. Sema chochote utataka, nimepata.
George here, my brother from another mother, and he really needs the Kahawa Thungu because he's been drinking some things he should not be drinking too early.
I went to Mars and had something. Alien shit.
George, of course, is from Safaricom, ICT director. Next to George is my brother, Faris Kariuki. Faris is cloud computing specialist, one of the pioneers, actually, of cloud computing in this country.
At some point.
At some point. So Faris today runs Pure.
Yes. Harry,
Pure
you know we're going somewhere later. Please,
Chief, I'll banish
don't
you from
ask
here.
Faris to do other things.
This guy,
no,
man.
no. Ali, I'm just telling. No, I'm talking to Harry. Hapana, mimi nimekuwa na Faraj. Naambia Harry is asking your panelists to do other things.
Where is this guy coming from?
No, I'm supporting you. I'm the
Stacy, please bring me security here. Nitamchoma huyo jamaa sasa hivi.
Mimi niko na security wangu. So let's continue. Harry, wacha kuchochea huyu.
Next to Faris is Kamal. Kamal, I've known Kamal now, what? Kamal, 15 years?
I think so, yeah.
From Craft Silicon in a small office together with Roy at
Rafter Road.
Rafter Road. Today, Kamal runs Craft Silicon, does lots of SACO and you guys behind there. Do you want to be ejected? There's only one panel here.
True.
Munaanza kukunywa Kahawa Thungu mapema kabla ya. So Kamal, Craft Silicon, and of course today, Little Cabs. And I hope you guys got your promos for Little Cab. In and out of, please, you just make sure Roy is behind there, you will get your promos. Great. Let's kick off the conversation. Let me start with Ahmed. Ahmed, you are here today because you were so passionate about this conversation when it was happening online. Give us your perspective about the talent wars that are happening not just in Kenya, but across the continent today. What you have, or what people are claiming, is that startups and established companies in Kenya are hiring and training tech talent, software engineers, and so on. And the big guys are coming and offering them 2-3 times their salaries. And guys are going. And these small companies are left hanging. What are your thoughts about that?
Hello, everyone. My name is Ahmed Salim. Very sober compared to George.
Ahmed, please.
Shots fired.
And I actually stand right in the middle of this discussion because I support both sides. which I don't know why Ali intentionally put me here. There was a tweet I tweeted about Microsoft, which we'll discuss later, and that answers what Ali was saying in terms of my personality. I'm a different person online. If you know me in person and you know me online, you'll hate me. But speaking of my mind, speaking my mind, I think based on the question that Ali has asked, for me, Ali, I stand right in the middle because I'm a victim, just like you. From a startup where you've invested in a team, knowing that you've put up a team, invested in training, not necessarily on the tech side, because I don't just see tech as a startup only that we have. It's literally any industry today, but I see it as human beings behind whatever idea or solutions that we're providing that we've invested in, and you see them go because they've been approached with a 2 to 3 to 4 times more package. The reason why I'm in between is because I'm against that, but I'm also for that, considering that talent needs to be valued, talent needs to be appreciated, and we need to raise the standards that we have in this country for people who give their best in what they do. So I'm actually one of the guys who would be in that line where it depends where it falls easy for me.
So basically, it pains you, yet somehow you understand.
You see, if I had the money to pay the same guys who left for 4 times and sacrifice the company's long-term goals, I would pay. But then the company would suffer. But then you look back, if you can set up a team and start from small and work with a young team that is eager to grow what you have, there's a solution. You just let whoever has to go.
Thank you, Ahmed. I'll come back to you. Cecilia, I'll jump you for now because I think yours will sort of come a little bit later and talk about both sides. So yours is, from a purely HR headhunting perspective. So allow me to jump you for a minute. And Faris, I think you've had a very interesting checkered career in this space. And you have some very strong views about this. As an entrepreneur, as somebody who has been employed before, as somebody who's employed. Please, tell us a little bit first about yourself, just in case guys don't know you, and then jump straight into this conversation. Over to you, Faris.
Okay, thank you. I'll take a bit of a winded path, but
please do.
I'll make my point. No, I've been in the cloud space for, I think this is 16 years since I started tinkering with virtualization. And so I've been around the block. I've worked for a bootstrapped startup that didn't pay me, worked for another one that paid me, went to work for a multinational. I spent 3 years there. Started my own company. One was a funded startup, the other one wasn't. They both ended in very interesting situations. My exit, at least, was very interesting, which is, as Harry was indicating, a story for another day. The thing is, the philosophical path I'm taking is migration is normal to human beings. Before, if you were in an oppressive environment, you walked away. The nation state is a very recent creation. And so the nation state creates this impression in our heads that it is natural to have a monopoly on people, which has never existed. So before slavery and all of this, like when you look at the Bantu migration and all these stories you were told in GHC or depending on your age, like you'd just be in a place you're not being paid well.
Sorry to interrupt you, Faris. So for those of you who may not understand what Faris has just said, GHC stands for Geography, History, and Civics.
Yes.
Tuko pamoja? Kuna siari hapo.
But the point I'm making is, for a very long time, if you worked in somebody's farm and the person didn't pay you well, you just moved. You migrated and you left. what's changed? Like now for you to go to the US, if you've got a certain skill, you need a visa. So if you look at Kenya, the right term for Kenya is a gross waste of human capital, because our students are busy doing PhD theses for students in the UK, in the US. We don't have a shortage of talent. It's just that we physically can't move to the US anymore. But there was a time when you could. Now, our local startups are complaining because they've been taking advantage of this arbitrage, so you can get skills for less. And as an entrepreneur, I have very little empathy for the entrepreneurs. Because I remember a time when there was a Land Rover discovery phase amongst entrepreneurs in Nairobi. And all of them will buy Land Rover discoveries from the showroom, etc., as their employees were being denied like basic. There was one in particular, some of you might figure out who this is, who bought a brand new Land Rover discovery as he was suing an employee for $3,000 worth of training.
Oh, God.
Come on, as in the vehicle is 16 million shillings, but you're complaining when somebody else comes in. And so this is not the first time we're having talent wars in Kenya. If you came to Kenya in the late 90s, early 90s, IBM and Microsoft and HP came and hoovered up sales talents. That was like the first war. When the system integrators were paying sales guys very low salaries, the multinationals came and paid global salaries, and they hoovered up all the sales guys. The complaint came. All that happened is local companies increased their salaries. Same thing happened when the multinationals, the Nokia Siemens of the world, came into this market. Access Kenya in particular really suffered because all the talent was hoovered out. And people would, I think it was a case of somebody like leaving the laptop on their desk and just not even sending a resignation letter. Like this is natural. Like this talent wars are natural, and this is just another sector where it started. So if you look at it purely from your own sector because you're feeling the pain, like pick a number, like it's happened before. The fundamental problem is any startup is in a business. And if you're a software engineering company, your input, like electricity, is labor. The government controls the price of fuel. You cannot say that I run a trucking company, thus therefore the government should make sure I buy diesel at 60 shillings. That's not how it works. Diesel is 110 shillings. As a business person, if you're this smart, diesel is 110 shillings. Figure out how to make a profit with the cost as it is, because that's the cost of labor. We've taken a lot of time and we underprice and gaslight our employees that they're not good enough, but they are. All that has changed is that somebody else has come in and said, the skill you have is worth more. A CCIE in Kenya, Cisco Certified Internet Expert, is worth, let's say, $200,000 a year globally. The ISP or telco paying them in Kenya is getting that value from them, but they want a discount. Why? If that particular customer, let's say I am buying from this same company. If let's say this company sells a CRM system. If I go to them and say, oh, you know, I'm a Kenyan company, I cannot afford to pay you $40 per seat per month, they'll tell me to go to hell. Why should the employee make a sacrifice because they cannot figure out their pricing structure? Ultimately, the entrepreneur has got a lot of leverage. If you cannot afford to pay them, Kenya Data Network, Safaricom, a bunch of companies, including Equity, have pioneered employee share ownership plans. Give them a share in your company. If you cannot, and I find the arguments that people have developed the talent to be particularly immoral, simply because your high school does not ask for your salary.
Faris,
yeah.
I'll stop you there.
Yeah, but anyway, I have very strong views on this.
I can see that you do. We'll come back to you on that. But you have really set the stage for my next panelist, John Juguna. For those who may not know George, he's ICT director at Safaricom. Now, allow me to say something on your behalf.
Have we discussed this?
So I am asking you, tafadhali, allow me to say one thing on your behalf.
Tuongee offline, nijue nini unasema.
Tuongee offline.
Unaweza kuwa unasema jambo ambalo...
No. Okay. I'm saying good things.
Okay, so.
So, in our conversations with George has complained to me
those are not good things.
George has complained to me like, dude, we spend so much money developing talent. That we can agree on, right? As far as the Safaricom is concerned.
Hiyo show yangu. Allow me to talk, Faraj, sikiza. Ngoja, show yangu hakuwa anaelewa Kizungu au Kiswahili, but alikuwa anaelewa hiyo Rich Also Cry. So usitaje hiyo show. It's very emotional for me because my show is deceased. Na hiyo ndio tu show alielewa, alikuwa anaambia sijui Andreo ama nani.
You know, these South America, these days, these soap operas, they are South American, they are Turkish, they are sijui what, but those days, the one that hit
Antonio. Nimekumbuka ni Antonio.
The Rich
alikuwa my show
also
Antonio.
Cry. Yani that program was so hot until wanawake wa Mombasa walitoa kanga. Mwanaume ni Antonio too. I'm serious. Anyway, George, over to you.
Yeah.
As Safaricom, you need talent every day. In fact, I'm sure you don't have enough talent today. How are you navigating this conversation today?
Thank you, Ali and team. I want to speak from three perspectives. Yes. I think one is from a wounded employer. The second is from a developer, because I am a developer. I'm a .NET developer at core. The third one is from an industry leader. So first of all, from an employer, in the last, I checked with my team, 5-6 months, I've lost 22 proper talent people to a company that uses red, green, and blue. I don't need to mention them.
Just mention the name. We are here. It is Kahawa Thungu. It is Talent Wars. Mention the name.
Kahawa Thungu will mention. So, my perspective is this, that we onboard a lot of people, and today I was listening to a story of a network engineer who all this engineer knew was network. They went into a Safaricom Digital Academy. They learned how to do UX, DevOps, security, and now they are one of the leading engineers in that level. What does that mean? Safaricom has a digital academy that we run with Strathmore and Moringa, and we actually take people from what we believe were kind of standard legacy technologies and train them in DevOps, cybersec, and such skills. Now, a player comes in the market and decides, this engineer who you've developed, it's easy for me to actually just take them. Now, what I've learned over time is that once they take any member of your staff, they pay them $3,000 to identify another member of staff from your organization. Now, if I look at this, there is a positive and a negative side, Ali. The positive side is the company where that developer worked. If some of us have been pushing for developers to be appreciated, recognized, and rewarded based on their contribution, you now have a case to actually make that happen. The negative side of it is this. You actually walk into this situation, pay them double, but you as an organization, you've not trained, you've not taken this developer yet. There are so many unemployed Kenyans who actually want to be hired as developers. Why not go and hire them, develop them, and bring them into your company? You are a multinational who has millions and billions of dollars. Why become so lazy, so inconsistent, so inconsiderate, and take a developer who has been developed by another organization and decide that you and your lazy HR, the easiest thing you can do is take somebody who somebody else has developed from being a telco engineer who is managing a base station. You bring them to become a DevOps engineer and decide lazily it's easy for you to hire them. Then, to make it worse, you decide, I'm going to pay you $3,000. How much is $3,000? Currently, at the exchange rate, it's probably 350,000 to 400,000 shillings
It's about
to bring another
350,000.
talent. So I've lost, in the last 5-6 months, 22 developers to this organization.
One organization.
One organization. And my point is this: if you are really honest, diligent, and genuine about developing the industry, can we work together? Because there are so many unemployed, and I had it in your panel earlier.
How do you-
there are too many unemployed
How do you
Kenyans.
work together, George?
You know, this is what I'm saying. There are enough unemployed Kenyans that you can enter into the type of program that we have, develop these engineers, train them, move them up, and then they can become talent for the industry. So that's me talking as a wounded employer. The second thing is, what I like about this, it has forced a conversation between me and HR where we're saying, you know what, our developers are not entry level. Our developers are not standard. Our developers need to be looked at, and we started working on something we're calling the contribution model. How good are you? We talk about T-shaped skills. Think about a T. You might be deep in one level, but you're actually good in some other things. So what does that mean? I'm a front-end developer, but I can only...
Are we together, guys? T-shaped level. Nego. Huh?
A.
Alright, tuendelee.
So I'm a front-end developer T, down, but I'm also a back-end. I have a bit of data science. I can do a bit of back-end. I can also do a bit more on integration. I'm not one-sided. So how do I reward you differently than other people? And how do I push you? Because Safaricom, for free, offers development for engineers. You can become the best and greatest at anything. So how do I reward you? Because you've worked hard. There's another guy, okay, not Ali, let's call him Ali Salim, who wants to take Ahmed, yes, Ahmed. Ahmed's a good example because he dissed me. He wants to take Kahawa Thungu all day and swim in the pool, but Ali wants to go to class, madrasa and everything. So how do I reward Ali, who is actually working hard to become a good back-end developer, and his T is becoming way better, as opposed to somebody who just wants to remain at their space and do something different. The third thing I want to say, now as an industry leader, is this. I may move from Safaricom to another organization or whatever, but I'm very passionate about the development of Kenyans. And so many Kenyans are unemployed. And I think what we should do and think about is, how do we develop talent from the grassroots? It doesn't matter whether they're going to work for Safaricom or Microsoft or Little or whichever organization, but all of us need to be concerned about the Kenyan who's unemployed, who is busy doing stuff that probably is trying to hack me. Every day I'm sent a message like, this guy has done a heist on your system and you need to catch him. And I think we need to be concerned about that, and as an industry work together towards creating employment for the Kenyans who are deeply digitally talented. They're looking for opportunities, training, as well as a door to be opened for them, and make Kenya the Silicon Savannah. Because when I was last week in Silicon Valley, and you look at that entire space, everybody in that space is actually earning a living. But here we are fighting about 1,000. I have 500 developers. Microsoft has 400. There's 1 million unemployed people. Why are we fighting about 1,000 people, yet we could make a case to hire 1 million?
George, thank you so much. I'll stop you there. I feel your passion, and I have so much to respond to. I'm sure you guys are waiting to, to give back and to respond to. I want to go to Kamal. Kamal called me a few weeks back and told me, I want to be on that panel. I'm very passionate about this issue. Nikamwambia, kuja my brother. Let's talk. Kamal, over to you.
Thank you, Ali. So I want to share two things actually before we get into the deeper discussion, and that actually happened to me, and I think that has molded me in the way I run my companies. So two things happened. Couple of years back, there is a lady called, I'm not going to tell her the full name, but you can figure it out. There was a lady called Marisa. She called me from the US and says, yeah, we have been tracking you for a while now. You are doing wonderful things into the mobile space. You are doing wonderful things in blah, 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 whatever. And she knew I was the founder of a company. So pull out a founder obviously is very difficult. She still calls me and says, okay, it started with email and LinkedIn, but then actually came into the call. And she says, look, we feel that you can head one of the fastest growing department that she was managing. And even before I say, she said, we know how much Craft Silicon is, what you do in terms of business. I'm willing to give you 10 times to what you are doing as just the joining fee, plus your salary is going to be this much per month, plus blah, 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 all that. So
she tried to acquire you, basically.
Yes.
Acquire the companies so that she can get you. Wow.
Obviously, I was very passionate about it, and the amount of money that was offered to me, honestly, swear to God, it was something that anyone would have picked it up. I didn't do that. I think at some point when you are a founder and you are passionate and you love what you do, sometimes you don't always look at the money. So that offer, obviously internally in my family, it was a mess for me, because I really had to convince everyone who loved me dearly and says, there is an opportunity here and the life could completely change, blah, 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 all that. But I was there. I said, look, I'm not going to do that. And I had to literally tell her no. And she, obviously from the tone of the voice and the tone of the email that came in, she was literally surprised at me declining that offer. That was the one case that actually helped me, and I'll tell you then how I run the company at some point in this conversation. The second point that happened is at some point when Kraft was about, I think we were about 15 or 16 people, and we got one good bank in this country. They wanted to computerize us to provide them the co-banking product, and everything was working out. We were running right tight on the schedule. Just about, I think, 2-3 weeks before the bank was going live. From that 15 people at a go, I got 10 resignations. At a go, 10 resignations. And obviously, it was extremely difficult. But these two incidences actually made me start thinking on how you should be handling the talents. And that I think I will share as the discussion goes on some of the things that we do. We have not been obviously 100% successful in what we do in retaining the talents, but I think these two experiences help me to mold certain things on how I interact with the people who work with me.
Kamal, thank you. Kamal, thank you so much. That is an awesome introduction. Cecilia, let's sort of bring it all together from an HR perspective. And then I'll open it up for conversations before I make my statements in response to what my panelists have said. You've heard everyone. Bring it into perspective for us.
So from where I sit and I look at both angles, from the employer side.
Sorry, just put it closer.
From the employer side and from the employee side. And when I hear the talent wars that are going on, I have the privilege of having very intimate conversations with the employer, and they tell us the challenges that they're facing when they're trying to identify talent. If it's startup organizations, for example, they maybe don't have the resources to go out and hire very expensive talent, or if it's the big tech who, for example, have the resources, they're not able to sometimes identify the talent for a number of reasons. And I think in all this, what people forget is the greatest asset in any organization are the people. And if you lose sight of that, it's not about the revenue that you're chasing, it's not about the products that you're developing, but it's the people that are helping you achieve your agenda. I also feel that this war is not necessarily a big tech versus small tech war. I think, and especially with COVID coming into play last year, we have seen that organizations have really started embracing technology to be able to drive their businesses forward. So it's all sectors that are being affected by the talent, the need for talent. So if it's insurance, if it's hospitality, you name it. So it's not just the traditional tech organizations that are in this fight for talent. The real problem, I feel the big tech versus small tech is almost like a knee-jerk reaction, but the real talent is that there's not enough tech skills in the community. And what are we doing about the bigger picture?
So that's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. It's not big tech, small tech. It's the tech skills are lacking, they are scarce, and because they are scarce, everybody is fighting for that talent. So the solution to the tech skills being increased is what will ultimately, in the long run, end these wars that you're talking about. There are a number of things that, if you'll allow me to just very quickly run through them.
Proceed.
From an organization perspective, I started off by saying that people are your greatest asset in any organization. If you do not engage in the right hiring process to identify the talent, you've already lost the identification of talent. Why? You need to know your organizational values, you need to know your organizational culture, and then you go out and find talent that is aligned to your own values. Otherwise,
what Kamal was sort of alluding
Yes.
to, and we'll really come back to you on that, Kamal.
yes. So you have to be very clear on what your culture and your organizational values are and identify talent that align with that. That's number one. Number two, you have to appreciate that you don't pay talent by compensation only. So when I hear companies complaining that talent is moving for 3 times the salary, they completely miss it, because it's other things that employees are looking for. The employees are not being heard in this conversation. It's just the employers who are, fighting it out by themselves. But employees want to work in organizations that they feel respected, they have ownership of the work that they're doing, the projects that they're doing. They are being trained and developed and empowered to become bigger and better than they are. So yes, they're taking home a salary, but what else am I taking from that organization other than the salary? So compensation is in 2 ways. It's in the basic pay that you're paying, but it's in also how you're developing that talent. HR practitioners sometimes miss it when it's identifying talent. They don't develop sustainable talent pools to be able to drive the organization forward. So
Sustainable talent pools.
yes, sustainable talent pools. So we have to look at this war from a bird's eye view and not tunnel vision. We're not just looking at now, we're looking at this is where we want to take the organization forward. How do we ensure that we prepare ourselves as an organization to get us to that destination through the people who are the greatest asset? So it's ensuring that our culture is right, ensuring that our values are right, ensuring that we're training and developing our talent right, ensuring that we are also, one of the things that I feel gets really ignored and is important in developing talent pools is internship programs. Organizations in Kenya sometimes feel like offering internships, they're doing interns
People
a
a
favor.
favor.
You're not It's not a favor you're giving them. It's a strategic move to ensure that your talent pool is actually trained and developed and is consistent. You also have to invest in retention strategies to make sure that, yes, you've gone out, you've hired people that are aligned to your values, but how do you retain them over and above paying them the 3 times the salary for them to cross over? You have to have sustainable strategies. And of course now with the, whole flexi work, opportunities for, you can come to work on this day and not on the other. Those are some of the things that employees are looking for, yet they're not being heard in this conversation. If you look at the tech environment, it changes constantly, all the time. How are we as organizations really ensuring that we're attracting, and not necessarily the skilled people, but how are we ensuring that the market is giving us what we want? And here I want to pose a challenge to organizations, employers. What are they doing to ensure that the quality of talent that is coming out of our tertiary institutions, our universities, is actually right for them as an organization? Are they going out to campuses? Are they going out even to government and telling them, these are the skills that we need? We're happy to work with you to develop curricula that will, because it takes time to develop talent. Don't think that you'll wake up one day. Yes, there are the short courses that you'll do, but sometime real core talent takes time, maybe 2 years, 3 years. So how do we partner with institutions of learning to ensure that we are supporting, as George was talking about? It's not just about the 1,000 people. It's about the millions of youth that are in Kenya. If you look at Africa, the average youth is 19. What are we doing to ensure that those young people are actually positioned for work in the future? And then when you talk about diversity, because it's now a big agenda in the employment circles, as Kelly was discussing on her talk this afternoon, and I completely resonated with her.
We missed that talk. Could you?
So it's employers really focusing on specific skill sets that. So say for example, you say, I'm looking for a software developer, and I want them to come from this background, I want them to have this qualification, I want them to have this number of years of experience. But what are we doing to the people who have the character, the values, who have the potential to be able to be groomed into those skills? What are we doing about them? We're sending out job descriptions that do not address the wider market. So it's really not just looking at the skills that you would desire to have, but looking at diversity from a perspective of the potential. So it's not just they need to have this qualification, they need to have this number of years of experience, but organizations need to set up tools to be able to assess the capabilities and the characters of this potential talent. I know for a fact that there are some organizations who are doing very well in, like, the interview process is not necessarily how many years of experience that you have, but you're taken through assessments that somewhat want to see how you think in certain situations. And based on that, they're like, you know what, this one, if we put him in a certain environment, they will thrive. Why don't we give them that opportunity? We have to be willing to give the lesser qualified people opportunities to grow.
Cecilia, thank you so much. Now you see why I wanted you to speak last as your opening statement. Gosh, there is so much here. I want to open it up for conversations now from my audience. Do we have mics around for the audience? Who wants to go first? So here's what's going to happen. You stand, introduce yourself. You have a minute to make a comment or question. After a minute, I'm going to interrupt you. Are we okay with that? Who wants to go first? Gentleman from the back. And if you're asking a question from any one of my panelists in particular, you can mention their names, or if it's general, you can just say general.
Thank you. My name is Dennis. I'm from Eldama Technologies. Can you hear me? Good. I'm just looking at the panel here, and I'm thinking we're approaching it from a wrong angle from the talent tours. We are missing a very vital partner in this journey. Number one, we are a capitalist nation, right? So when you talk about talent wars, the best man wins. That's the way I look at it. But now the question comes in. There's someone missing here, regulator. We don't have the regulator within us. By regulator, I mean someone who can tell us, listen, we are going over and above what we're supposed to do in terms of talent wars, as in the best man win. But this is where we need to stop, where we need to toe the line. That's my question, because I'm listening to you. Listen, someone, you've developed this talent for a period of time. But then there comes a person who gives that person more money, more time, right? More benefits. That's my only concern, because I'm listening to all of you. You're looking at it from one angle, where you're coming from.
So you want a regulator.
That's how we look at it.
To be the referee here.
We need a referee here.
We need a referee.
Exactly.
Ile maneno ya Kenya, serikali saidia.
No, si serikali's idea. Listen, it's simple. You've worked so hard to develop a talent to your own goal and vision. She talked about the, yeah?
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Me, I'm gonna unleash Faris on you here.
I feel very strongly about this topic, by the way. And it's primarily because I'll use an example of Microsoft. Steve Ballmer is a billionaire because Microsoft couldn't afford to pay him his commission, so they gave him stock. You can always find a way to pay somebody. When you have these talents that you've developed, you're getting that talent at a discount. You're not making the person. You don't own them. Like, the reason why somebody else can come and poach them is because there's a delta between what you're paying them and what they're worth. That delta is the discount you're getting for developing them. And I'm saying this as somebody who was grossly underpaid. And one of my employers told me they made me. It was a very demeaning thing. But the thing is, at the end of the day, you're getting a discount. And your employee is sacrificing with their life, which they have one of. They won't be able to go to a good doctor. They won't take their kids to a good school. Your kid will not go to, like, if you have a kid and you're not being paid well, ECD for them is gone. You'll take them to the local neighborhood nursery. Like, you're not, like, there's one life for the dev. The dev sells their service to one person, the employer, and it is moral for them to look for the highest person to reward them for the short time they have on this planet. That's a very fair ask.
Faris, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, I've seen many hands, but allow me to introduce my special guest tonight. He must say something. He had refused, nikamwomba tafadhali ongea, because there have been some shots fired here towards him. Mr. Jack Ngari, Microsoft Africa Development Center CEO. Mike to Jack. Jack, please, karibu. First, thank you so much. I know for you to talk today, it has taken a lot. Jack, so please, say something.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's... First of all, I think, George, you need therapy. You know? Let's talk about this later. Yeah. But, you know...
We can go for a joint session.
No, man, I don't go that way.
Wow, wow, wow. This is really Kahawa Thungu today. Jack, I didn't know you had it in you.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, look, and to be honest, everyone sitting in that panel there is a customer of ours. Safaricom is a massive customer of Microsoft. And so we feel them also as well whenever they complain. And we know that there's a strain on the ecosystem. But some of these things, the way we look at it, it's not that we are selfish and we just want to grow this ecosystem. The reason why some of us joined Microsoft in the first place, my previous boss used to say something like this: you need to stop the scarcity mentality. Because every time we'd go to him and present a solution and would say we will grow by 1%, and all of you know him. He doesn't want to hear 1% growth. He says we want Africans to stop the scarcity mentality. If you have a program and we take 20 engineers, what are we talking about, 20 engineers? Between two of the largest companies in East and Central Africa. There's an opportunity there for all of us to do something to address that. And I'm not speaking as Microsoft, by the way, I'm speaking as me, because the reason why some of us left Kenya back in the 2000s was because there were no opportunities. There were none. So we left. We said we're not going to go and become a data entry clerk in Treasury, or become a teller in a bank, or go and be underpaid by a guy who wants us to do Fortran and Delphi. And then University of Nairobi tells us this is how we do punch cards. So all of a sudden, there's opportunities, and then we are casting shade on opportunities for our people. That is wrong. That is morally wrong. Okay? The inverse is true. What if Microsoft came here and underpaid our people? We would have been saying, like the way it's in DRC, with the gold companies, the diamond companies, that underpaying people and shipping profits abroad. So which one do we want as Africans? Do you want to be underpaid? And then they go and ship everything they're selling. The markup of a cloud platform by Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, Google is 96%. That's the markup.
What?
Yeah. The Windows, the Android devices you have on your hands, the markup is 74%. Look it up. Google it. What's the markup Google makes on Android? It's insane. So you have to choose. Do we want to underpay our people and ship the profits, or we put the money here, where not only I benefit, but my cousins, I educate everyone around me. People aspire to be an engineer like Jack, or like George, or like the rest of the panel.
Can I respond to Jack? Allow me to say something.
Absolutely.
Jack, allow me to say this.
I'm coming to you.
No, Kahawa Thungu. No, allow me to respond.
I will come to you.
No, bro, allow me to respond.
I will come
directly.
To you.
No.
I will come to you, George.
Nakuheshimu kama
I'm telling you, I will come to you.
I will come to you.
I will come to you, George.
I'll allow.
I will come to you. Don't worry. Jack, I hear what you're saying. And I think there are like 3-4 people here who probably want to respond to you.
Okay. Not me.
But
I'll chill first.
George,
let the other people talk.
You see, I needed George to calm down a bit, collect his thoughts, so that he can talk. George, over to you.
The other people
talk.
Thank you, Jack. By the way, those of you who don't know, Jack and I worked together before.
Stanbic days.
Yeah. But I think, Jack, my view is this, that the market is big. I think Microsoft does not need to sit like an eagle or a hawk and look at what Safaricom is doing and decide to take what Safaricom has done. Jack, you spoke about over 1 million engineers who are unemployed. Microsoft has the capability to take those engineers, to train them, and to bring them into the Microsoft ecosystem. Worse off, instead of taking these engineers to build capabilities like our engineers have built Safaricom app, we are proud in the whole Vodafone family that our app has been built by Kenyans for Kenyans. It is the top app in the market store. It is the top app in the whole of Vodacom. The Safaricom app is one of the best apps. It used to be done by a vendor. Microsoft does not need to sit unfortunately, lazily, to decide that this engineer, who somebody has developed from being a telco engineer, let Safaricom develop them, train them, everything, and not just one. My team told me in the last 4 or 5 months, Microsoft has taken 22 engineers from Safaricom. Microsoft pays these people $3,000 to refer another engineer. If Jack truly cares about the Kenya ecosystem, he would be looking for engineers who are jobless, hiring them, training them, and bring them into the ecosystem. That's the point
George.
I'm trying to make.
George.
No, allow me to complete. But with that said, allow me to complete. I still believe that engineers are valuable resources. And if any organization, including Safaricom, is underpaying talent, those engineers are free to go where they're going. But when we have, as Jack used earlier, a large amount, I think he said 800,000 or 1 million people, it is really important that we find a way as
But
an
George,
industry
you're contradicting
to
yourself.
train them. Yeah.
First you are complaining, then you are saying they're free to go. George,
I'm not
listen.
saying they're free to go. I'm saying, no, I'm saying,
But you've
skiza, nasema
you've
soko.
not bonded them.
Skiza,
Boss.
chenye nasema, kama uko na nini, zinaitwa nini, tuseme tuite avocado.
Yes.
Small avocados, big
Yes.
avocados.
Yes.
The point is this,
Yes.
wacha avocado zote ziuzwe. There's no need kuangalia zile avocado mtu mwingine amezitunza,
Hebu
ameziangalia.
nikuulize wewe ukienda sokoni saizi, manake wewe umeanza kuzungumza Kiswahili sio? Ukienda sokoni ukiangalia avocado kubwa na ndogo, utachukua ipi? Tuseme kweli,
Utachukua ile tamu.
nikiwa na avocado kubwa hapa na hii ndogo, yote shilingi 20, utachukua ipi, ndogo au kubwa?
Ile tamu.
Angalia huyu sasa.
No, what I'm trying
No,
to say is this, Ali.
listen,
I'm trying
George,
to say is this.
George.
As organizations, watch and Malize. 1 second. Just give me less than a minute. As
Do we allow him to
organizations,
continue talking? All right.
what I'm trying to say is this. There's a lot of unemployed people and a lot of people who need to be employed well. We all need, as corporates, to work towards getting young Kenyans employed and not just building solutions, I don't know, resolving bugs, but building things that are solving problems for Kenyans. When I listen to guys who are telling me, I went to Microsoft and all I do is resolve bugs, that is wasting talent as Kenyans. We need to actually get Kenyans building solutions that are solving problems for Kenyans and Africans.
George, George, Ali. George, I will disagree with you on this.
Well, should.
What?
Why?
And then I will ask Faris to talk, and then I'll come back
Why
to
not
this side.
Kamal?
Kamal will come.
Kamal is building solutions
Wait.
for Kenyans. The audience is not participating.
Audience will come back. Give me 2 minutes, guys.
I'll say something. There's no dignity in poverty. If somebody can fix their life, fixing bugs, if fixing bugs will get me an apartment and a car and I'll sort out my family, I'll fix the bugs. Like, that's fine.
Back to the audience. Back to the audience. Shiko first.
Ali, I actually have the mic, so I'll just touch a little bit. I'm not going to really address what George has said directly. I'll just speak about a little bit about a timing issue for a lot of tech companies. And the strategy is always the same across the world. And when you enter a market, what do? You want to prove to the rest of the world that we are good. Okay, you're not doing us any favors. It's not a grant that they're giving us, or they're coming here because they like Africa and they want to do their diversity numbers. It's not a diversity play. It's that these guys genuinely are very good. And so initially, the strategy, even for me, is get good developers, bring them in. 400 or whatever it is not. We're talking about 20 developers in 3 months. I mean, really. I mean, that's nothing. You know, that's, again, back to Dr. Mwangi's words, scarcity mentality. You know, we come in, get the right guys, build them, and then, in the same time, we have programs to grow the pipeline, because it's not sustainable in the long term. I'll be shooting myself in the foot thinking I'll forever go to the industry. It can't. You have to invest in the pipeline for the future. And
But
that's
you're operating in a level where you believe the easiest way for you to get talent is to come to Safari.
Shut this guy down.
So the
Shut
truth
this
is,
guy down.
But it's a fact.
George, I have not asked you to speak.
No. I'm
not asking
responding
you
to
speak.
Jack.
No.
No, if there is 400, 500, 1,000 developers,
George is my
go
panel.
hire those guys.
George, it's my panel. Shut this guy down.
All right, I've
So,
stopped.
so
I'll come back to you.
Yeah. So just to close on that, I mean, so the idea here is really to make sure that the whole ecosystem in the long term really does benefit out of all of this, and that's the primary reason. I like what Faris says. You know, whether you're sorting, and it's the same thing with sorting bugs or whatever it is. Before they trust you to build, for example, Windows operating system, they have to start you from the ground. Just like all of us when we joined our jobs, at least for me, I was pushing servers in a data center. That was my starting job, which is fine. But even for them, they're like, we're not sure about you guys. We'll start you off with this. Let's see how you guys do it. 10 years from now, don't be surprised, there'll be a guy standing right here in a fire chat like this and saying, I'm the guy who built Microsoft Azure Cloud. A guy who looks like me and you.
Thank you. Back to the audience. Hapa tafadhali mukwe karibu.
Hi, do I have to stand up?
Not really. You can.
Hi, good evening.
Good morning, as Harry told us.
So, I'm looking from a point of privilege. So I have to say that out first. As somebody who worked for both Microsoft and Google, there are two things that we are, and Paris has said it very well.
And
yeah?
Safaricom.
Oh, yeah, in Safaricom.
So
By the
three.
way.
Microsoft, Google, Safaricom.
And a few other in there. And for me, what Faris has said is very important, yeah? What we are ignoring, that these developers, UXers, all these people, we are standing in between them. It's not about money and their ambition, yeah? And it's not always about money. By the way, George, you're not the only person who's lost people to Microsoft. I've had this conversation with George, yeah?
George or Jack?
I mean, Jack. Hata mimi nimelose watu kutoka kwako. Yeah, you also give double. No, it's true. We lost a UXer to him. Yeah, and for me, it's not about Microsoft is hiring or Safaricom is hiring. It's what does that engineer look like. I always look at myself. When Google first approached me for hire, I couldn't believe that I could actually work for Google. Yeah? I couldn't believe that they could pick this random African who's not going to Stanford. And that when I joined Google, it was Stanford and Yale people who were working for Google. Yeah? And I worked in an engineering team at Google. And what that did to my mentality and my mind shift, that scarcity mentality shift, was awesome. And so when my team, somebody comes to me, or even somebody random on LinkedIn comes to me, should I go to Microsoft? I always say, go and get your mind shift changed. Because you might be solving bugs, but you're interacting with many other people who are solving bugs that are thinking very differently from you. And that has an effect on you as a human being. That's number one. It's iron sharpening iron. So if you're all going to stay here and all decide we're going to... I'm sorry, George. Please don't pick up on me after this.
Chico, you're my friend.
If you're all going to say we're going to stick at Safaricom and stay there, we're not going to be able to interact with these engineers that Jackie is working very hard to interact with us, and it's not going to change our mind shift. In the same way my silo pays for 10 other cousins, the same way the change in my mindset changes my community. I graduated, I was the first graduate in my village, got a master's, got a PhD. Let me tell you, all the kids that saw me go through that journey.
Dr. Chico.
Oh, thank you. All the kids in my village who saw me go through that journey, all of them had something to look up to. Yeah? They're all getting and surprisingly, most of them are in computer science. Some of them are working for Jack. And I'm very proud of that. So let's stop being selfish. Yeah? We are talking about lazy, what is it called? Lazy recruiter. Lazy recruiter. Me, I'm saying let's stop being selfish, looking at what our bottom line will look like. Let's look at these engineers 5-10 years from now and where they are going to be. Yeah, remember you're standing between them and their ambition, and their ambition is not necessarily money. Some of these kids, some of them that are from Safaricom who reach out to me, should I go to Microsoft? And I say go, because I know where their ambition is. And
So
don't
you are
want
the
to
one,
limit. I mean, I encourage them. We don't want to limit their ambition to where they can be in the future. Because if and I'm a very small statistic of what that exposure can do to somebody. What if we had 100 of other people who have that same exposure? Where would Kenya be 10 years from now? We have to start thinking like the Chinese. 10-year, 20, 30, 100-year horizon. Where will we be? That's my challenge.
Chico, thank you so much. I love that perspective. I really love that perspective. Who next?
Chairman.
Faraj?
I'd like to shift the conversation kidogo.
Allah, you become the moderator now.
No, because
Please proceed.
Microsoft is able to pay double, triple of what Safaricom is paying. And according to George, he's able to pay those engineers, dev, he's able to pay whatever Microsoft is paying. But the bottleneck is HR. Do we really need HR in our organization? Why can't Jack decide, you know, this is my team, this is how much they need to be paid? HR knows how much an accountant needs to be paid. HR knows how much a techie needs to be paid. HR knows everything. Yeah, so
This is an entrepreneur talking.
this is to my sister here.
That one is so. That one is so hot. I have to let Cecilia answer that immediately.
Yeah, I'm looking at the moon up there, and I'm like, what a question under the moon.
Cecilia, over to you.
HR is there to complement the efforts of the hiring managers. The hiring manager would be Jack, would be you, the person who is responsible for the talent that you're buying. So it's a facilitator. They're a facilitator.
So they can say yes or no?
No. They are helping you, the hiring manager, to find the talent that you want. And I kind of almost sort of see where you're coming from, because sometimes HR, if they don't get to take the time to understand what your needs are, what your pain points are as a hiring manager, if it's about, I have a timeline, we have all those metrics that we use in HR. If it's a certain cycle and I have to meet them at the expense of finding the right talent that I'm already missing the point. That's number one. Number two, it's about culture. If you don't understand and act as a facilitator, that yes, this is what you're looking for, yes, this is your wish list, but what does the organization holistically need in terms of getting talent that are a cultural fit? If HR does not support you as a hiring manager to find that talent, they're failing you. They're failing you because if they leave you to your own devices. Say, for example, if you're a CEO, you're in charge of ensuring that the organization is running smoothly. But HR is responsible for your culture. And if they do not hold you accountable to the culture that you want, then they're failing you.
Cecilia, thank you so much. I have something to say about that, but George is really itching to say something. And if I don't give him an opportunity, he'll punch me. George, please proceed.
Ali, allow me to say I'm not known as a violent person.
I take back my words, my brother. Pole sana. Please proceed.
No, I think the biggest thing we need to look at is, I want to say two things. I think one is we don't need to look at how we can share a small pie. We need to look at how the pie can be bigger. There are too many unemployed Kenyans for us to be arguing about 400 people. It's pathetic.
So why are we arguing, George?
There are so many talented people, and what we need to agree as organizations, and I love listening to Kamal's statement today that he has hired 99.9% Kenyans. We need to be looking at how we can get Kenyans employed. Whether they are employed by Kenyan companies, by foreign companies, by Mars companies, Venus companies. We need to get young people in Kenya employed, number one. Number two, when we get these young people into our organizations, we need to develop them. As an organization in Safaricom, I was talking to, where is Moniki? Just lift your hand.
Moniki yako wapi? George has taken over my role as moderator.
Somewhere
He's
here.
now talking to.
So Moniki was telling me his story, where Moniki was.
Who is Moniki?
Moniki currently is a UX UI designer, but for years
Safaricom or Microsoft?
at Safaricom. Currently. Yes, yes. Jack is over there taking notes, but with his HR company. But the fact is, you know, Moniki was talking to me about the way he's a data center engineer. He used to be from 2008. Am I right? He told 2008, and he got tired of being in the data center and dealing with stuff. He went into the Safaricom Digital Academy together with Strathmore, Moringa, and other schools, got trained, and is now one of our best UX UI developers. When you look at Safaricom app.
Are you sure you want to talk more about Moniki?
No, it's fine. Jack is there. I'm actually, Jack can keep doing what he's doing. So, so the fact is this, no, it's okay. When you're the biggest tech company in the region, you supply talent even to international companies. And they can hire whoever.
Shots
and,
fired.
they can, Jack, whoever, they can lazily decide to take your talent. But the fact is this, I listened to Mwaniki's story last night, and I looked at somebody who worked in a data center, and he was talking to us, colleagues, I didn't know he did, and saying how he hated his job. But he went into the academy and came out on the other side as a UX UI developer, and that's what we're in the business of doing. My challenge to everybody, Kamal, Jack, everybody, let's take people who are tired of doing what they're doing, and some people who are jobless, and convert them into their passion. Because what we need to be doing is getting people to transform lives, not just to do a job. Because if you just get somebody, you can do any job, even cut grass. But if you're not doing what your purpose is and what your passion is, you'll never be satisfied. You'll just do it as a job. But if you really want to transform lives, we need to be equipping people, enabling people, and putting people in roles where they are able to help not just their communities, but the country and the continent. And that's what I'm passionate about.
Thank you, George. Thank you, George. Appreciate that. I will take 2 comments or questions from the panelists, from the audience, and then Kamal has an interesting story to complete. I will ask him to do that. And then Ahmed is itching to also say something, and then I come back to my audience. Please introduce yourself and what you do and your question or comment.
Yeah, an interesting discussion right there. My name is Pauline from Unga. And
Unga Group?
Yes, Unga Group. Yes, Jogo, X, Famila.
Pembe has not poached from you.
No.
Nadola.
No, not yet. They can't. Mine is a commenter, and a very interesting one. I'm not sure about the fight between Safaricom and Microsoft. But
by the way, there's no fight between Safaricom and Microsoft. Can we be clear about that? We are having a very interesting conversation.
Yes, on a lighter note, though.
All right.
There is a fact that we need to face, that Kenyan companies don't pay well. When 6 years ago,
did you say Kenyan companies don't pay well?
Yes.
I thought I heard wrong.
Yes, I said that.
Does that include Safaricom?
Yes.
Shots fired. George, we'll come back to you.
Have you ever worked for Safaricom?
The fact that Microsoft is able, or any other company is able to poach from there, that means these employees have been enticed with what? What is the difference between this company A and company B? cash, money. Yeah, and good environment, I mean. So 6 years ago, that's when I was completing my campus. And an international company came here in Kenya and decided to pick fresh graduates, and those who had not completed. I had not gotten my graduation certificate yet, but when I showed them my transcript, they're like, okay, come. And then they trained us. There is this one particular trainer who came from South Africa, and he really psyched us. You know, we are training you this, and this is the amount you're going to earn after here. And we were all so happy and excited. I mean, that kind of money when you're just a fresh graduate. And these were his words. This is the minimum amount of money you can get from here.
How much was it?
At that time, it was 100,000.
How long ago?
That was 6 years ago, and this is fresh from campus, and you're being given 100,000 for a start. So we were so excited. We really did our best, passed the examination, and the first week they got us interviews here and there. So we went for interviews, and guess what? Oh yeah, we are going to hire you. How much are you going to pay us? 20,000.
What?
We went and told that trainer, and he was so frustrated. I mean, we've put all this investment to train you guys, and all they can pay you is that.
She said it's a
but face it, it was the reality. The trainer, the international company left us and went back, and here we faced it. We went and worked for that. So, yes.
Wrap it up with your.
Okay, good. So mine is this. We need. There's somebody who talked about regulators. We need to have an IT regulation, something, that says for these skill sets, not serikali. Why can't we have not serikali, ourselves, this professional governance something, committee or something. This skill set, you can only earn this much. I don't think it works.
This is Monique here. Jack, this is Monique.
This is Monique.
Pauline, okay. I'm coming back.
Meet Jack.
Okay, please make a comment or question very quickly, and then I'm coming back to Kamal here.
So, my name is Alex. I work for Zepri. In my other life, Zepri is a reinsurance company.
Hi, Alex.
Before that, I used to work for a multinational, also consumer goods company. And the two realities I think that I learned from the two companies. The first one was the fact that because we were not like the developers or the core IT companies, we will never be able to give the environment that Safaricom gives. So that's a reality. So expect that when we come to poach, we'll always poach with cash. So that will always happen. So we have to be prepared to live with it. The second reality that I also learned was that the young people, we expect them to have careers of 6 years, 10 years. You know, I can say proudly, I worked for Unilever for 20 years, right? Very proudly. But today, those careers are no longer there. We also have to expect and learn to live with the fact that you will train the person for 1 year, they'll deliver for the second year, and the third year, they'll be looking for a new job. So it's a reality that we also have to live with and be able to say, if I get this young talent for 5 years, I have to get the very best out of them in that short time. It will not be long-term careers.
Thank you so much. Those are interesting anecdotes. Before I come back to you guys, I want Kamal to continue his story, but I also want to leave you with a question which we'll come back to. There's this very common thing that in HR people say, employees don't leave companies, they leave bosses. Let me repeat this. Employees don't leave companies, they leave their bosses. Let that marinate first. We'll come back to that. Over to Kamal.
Okay, so So when I had this opportunity and I did not leave the company that I was running for this opportunity, which was just out of this world. Why I did not leave? I think employees, the staff don't work for, I think most of the time throughout the day is the time you spend in your office. Time you spend in the place where you are delivering something, where you are working something. Do you have a purpose? You know, in the evening when your staff goes home, how sure are you that he is going to come back next day? Can we create an environment inside the company that allows him, that motivates him to come back? Every day when you wake up in the morning, again another day I need to go to work. Worse is, let's get up, let me go there. My time is 8, I'll be there at 7:30 because I need to do this and this and this. How do we create that environment? So that's what I thought we should be starting that. And when the other case where I really suffered was at one point I wanted to go live with this bank, and from a company size of 15, 10 of them resigned at the same day. What did you do? No, I think somebody like Microsoft paid them higher.
So what did you do there? I'm really curious to find out.
So you go to the customer and you start crying. What else? So there are three things that I think personally, and this may not work for you or may work for you, but personally, internally, what we do is you need to have a team that you really need to take care of. Now I have Craft Silicon today is about 400 people company. Little is reaching to about 150 company. I'm heading Little at the moment, so I can focus more on Little in this particular discussion. In Little,
so who's heading Craft Silicon?
I have another CEO who runs Little now. For
so
me.
you've employed somebody for
the Craft Silicon.
For Craft Silicon.
Yeah, he runs it.
Wow. Yeah. I think we need to have a separate conversation around that.
Perfect. So when I run this Little, there are like 7 or 8 people in Little which I think are extremely critical for the operation of Little. Now for my job as the CEO for Little, I just need to make sure that these 7 or 8 people are so well taken care of. And when somebody is leaving you, the process of leaving tomorrow he gets a job, that process for him leaving didn't start yesterday. It's a process that the staff has gone through, you know. When you are not happy, you start wandering around, and then somebody comes in and says, there's an opportunity, the guy starts exploring. So if he left in January, the process of him living in January could have started like 3, 4, 5 months back. Why can't you handle it in a way that process just doesn't start? If you are interacting with your people on day-to-day basis, create an environment. For example, especially in the tech team in Little, and I'm so confident, Jack, if you would come in, my tech team may not come to you. And I'm so confident that. And the reason I think that has happened is because, as I said, people, if you give a purpose for people to deliver, I think then they stick to the purpose. Money is so critical and important and required, but money is not the only thing that drives people to be at a place that they are. Obviously, if I'm paying somebody 100,000 and he gets $1 million, maybe he starts shaking down. But generally, if I'm giving 100,000 and somebody gets 200,000, he may not make a decision perhaps if the environment where he is working in is so well set for him. And there is a purpose to that. Purpose is so critical for us humans. When there is a purpose, then money possibly becomes slightly secondary to the staff. So I think for us, that's how we have been able to retain the talent in both Little as well as Craft Silicon. And people would leave, but that layer which you are controlling so close, keep them so close. So for example, my CTO, I control him. Give your CTO the power that he creates the similar kind of an environment under him. So I take care of the first 6 people I know. They will make sure that they do not leave, keeping the HR side. And honestly, HR in Little is just a managerial role that says, okay, this guy possibly salary should be increased like this and that. But I handle the tech team, the people who report to me directly, I handle them directly with them. Now my CTO has another 10 people under him. He would handle the same way I handled my layer. So him also would have now the same layer. So I think that has helped us to reduce the people leaving us and somewhere else. That's, I think, what I have
Kamal,
learned.
thank you so much. 100%, 100%. I think what you've just said, Kamal, for me resonates quite a bit. Purpose. I think it's the right time for me to ask Ahmed to talk about something. A few days ago, Ahmed and I were having this conversation in terms of prepping. And one of the things that he really came out strongly about is, what's the passion? What is it that is making me do what I do? For those of you who are management thinkers, dabble with reading books, you may have read Jim Collins' Built to Last. And if you remember, one of the key takeaways in that book is first who, then what. Let me repeat. First who, then what. You're not going to put people in a bus and then start driving. You don't know, you have not told people where they are going, and then muko katikati ya barabara, the driver is looking back and says, wewe unaenda wapi? Mwingine yuenda Magongo, mwingine yuenda Kisauni, mwingine yuenda Nairobi. Mtafika lini? You're not going to get anywhere. Ahmed, over to you.
At one point, I thought it was a Microsoft versus Safaricom discussion. Speaking of whatever has been discussed earlier, I think a lot of points relate to each one of us at one point or the other. With what Microsoft has done, and before I discuss what Ali has mentioned in terms of passion, Microsoft has disrupted the tech space. I think I tweeted about that a while back. We were so comfortable, and even as employers, we were complacent. I know it's a tech discussion, but poaching has been there in all industries. It's been there across different industries. I agree with the points of salary is not the only motivator. I totally agree when it comes to somebody's ambition, somebody's goals in terms of what they want to achieve, or also a stepping stone to what they want, because at the end of the day, it's money will never be enough. Your lifestyle will increase, your overheads will go up, you'll still keep looking, you'll enjoy it for a short time, and you're back to square one, looking again for better and better and better, or more and more and more. When I put on my business hat where I talk from experience, one thing I've always told myself, and something that my mom has also played a very huge role in my life, making me understand this, is if it was easy, everybody would do it. We might be here from a point where we are leaders or entrepreneurs or business owners, and maybe that's why a point was raised, it's very biased, but then there are risks that we're taking on. And from a business point, you have a risk of a business not succeeding, you have a risk of going bankrupt, you have a risk of the business collapsing, you have a risk of losing everyone. And how he managed a time when he was going live and lost 10 people, or rather 10 resignation, that's a skill you can only get from a person who's passionate about his business. A business that you're resilient, a business that you can give all you have to make it succeed. I left employment with a very good salary, I can see at the time, as much as I felt I was underpaid, to start up something with no salary for 2 years.
Always feel you're underpaid.
With no salary for 2 years. And people think starting a business is easy, having a bigger team or growing your team is successful, but it's not. It's actually one of the toughest, most broke and emotional position you can ever be. there's a story which happened a couple of months back, and that's why I say it's not a Microsoft against Safaricom or a Microsoft. And by the way, Microsoft does not just take people who do bugs. I know people who are actually in research, dealing with international market, increasing their capacity, which they are actually improving the Kenyan space overall. The taxes paid to the Kenyan government, it's also money that they're paid as salary. So the story I have is, it was a local company, big agency. We lost a client. It's business, we win and lose. And in the process, when they signed up with the other agency, they came and swept the team that was handling the account. Big hit, definitely, because we trained them a lot. Wow. 2 people stayed back. There were 6, 4 left, 2 stayed back. But among the 4 who left, one of them came to me personally in the evening in the office and told me, I've come to you open, I've told you what I'm doing, where I'm going, why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for the money. It wasn't about a culture or anything. But I'm telling you this because if things don't work out, I'd like to come back. And he told me, if you match what they are giving, I'm willing to stay. And that's why I had said something earlier, risking the company's future to make somebody happy stay doesn't work for us. We don't feel that we should lock down somebody or hold down somebody because we own them or they're ours. There's nothing like that. So wished him well, blessed him, told him all the best. For the 2 that stayed, I asked them, why? And there's one thing one said, that they've worked in 3 different agencies in their career, and there's one thing they've liked is the fact that they understand our vision as from the leadership team, and they believe in it. The other one said, I am loyal. That was his only answer, I'm loyal. And to think about it, that's not money. Money cannot buy loyalty. Money cannot buy understanding a vision or dream. I believe in increasing the pie, the size of the pie, and not taking each other's pies. But then also at the end of the day, we have to see what are we doing to these people who are doing these good things for us. You know,
Ahmed, thank you so much.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
And I look back and say, apart from the salary and maybe the small benefits we can afford, what else? And these are people, I was an employee. You know, I was working for somebody. Do you want to hold somebody just for life, or you want them to actually become better and let them go? So if we have a mindset that we should be able to train, to adapt, to get new talent, and continue the business in different stages of its life, I don't think we should be worried about poaching, because I've experienced, it was painful, it was very emotional. I remember how it felt, but you accept it. And that is what I feel is one of the things as an entrepreneur or a business owner, where you accept as one of the risks in any business. Because if it wasn't there, it will just be easy for everyone.
Thank you, Ahmed. Fantastic. Guys, it's time to wrap it up. I'll take 2 more questions or comments. They're here already. Keep it really sharp. 2 comments or questions, and then I come back to my panelists for closing remarks. And then, as my daughters would say, it's Friday, yeah. Saturday, Sunday, what? It's Friday already, guys. Chill out. It's only 2 hours before Friday.
Boss, it's actually properly Thursday.
It's only 2 hours before Friday.
I'm okay with it being Friday.
All right. Michael Miche, yesterday, allow me to say a very funny story, Michael, before you start. Please stand up. Michael is one of my best small brothers ever. CIO at a very tender age. Yesterday, we were having a very interesting conversation, and he went through 5, 6 interviews at a bank, and finally when he was about to be offered a job, they asked him, are you going to cut that hair? And that story ended there. Michael, over to you.
Ali, I thought I'm also your small bro.
Thank you. One comment and then one question. Comment, whoever who said, the two gentlemen who talked about regulation, it's a very bad idea because we're not playing in the Premier League. We don't need transfer rules. You don't want to be locked in if it's a bad employer because you have to wait 3 years because of some regulation before someone else offers you a job or the quota to the company you want to work with has been filled. Microsoft is allowed to only take 20 people a year. You're number 21. Why is your dream is being regulated? That's not fair. Then to the panel, I feel really sad. There's no talent seated on either side to say, this is how I feel. You're the bulls. The grass is not participating. There should be talent saying, the reason I moved from Safaricom to this, and this other company are these reasons. The only time people capture those reasons are in exit interviews. When someone has to feed you a very nice reason as to why they are leaving because maybe they want to come back later. But it should be an honest thing. Once a week or whatever time it is, why do you like working here? What do you need? I refuse to cut my hair for better salary. So it's not always about the money. So the question is, do you have these honest conversations with your talent? Second, on top of having those conversations, are you actually, when the talent tells you, I wish maybe we had a break room. I went to one office, I saw they had a panic room where they let people, the engineers go in. It's a fully padded soundproof room and they scream. As in they have somewhere to let go of all that tension. No one is going home and taking their office drama at home, making things worse, and then they're being told, I think it's your job. You either change your job or you part ways. There's none of that. That is being sorted in the office. So such creative ideas. Are you people doing that? Next, give us solutions to stop the talent wars. Practical solutions that you've implemented.
Thank you, Michael. Guys, in your closing statements, some of you, I would like each one of you to take one question from Michael. I think he's raised a very important issue, quite a number of issues. And why isn't talent one of the talent that we're talking about here? I'll answer that, Michael.
Hi everyone, so my name's Kelly, and I was talking today about the human element, so this conversation is pretty relevant. I agree with you, Mike. I think that we do need to look at why isn't the talent on the table, but I think it is also on the table. Because, George, if you were offered something that was 2 or 3 or 4 times more, would you move? Microsoft, Jack, do you have a job for George?
Not Microsoft,
No,
but
no.
probably.
But I think it goes back to something I mentioned today, and Kamal, you've mentioned purpose. It goes back to significance. How are you making your people feel significant? What value are you unearthing in them? Because sometimes they don't even realize it themselves. And that's the role that we play as employers. Are we unearthing the value in the people that we hire so they realize their own potential? Sometimes they think they know what that potential looks like, but in fact, you can sell them something that is far bigger. The poverty mindset that was referred to, or scarcity mindset, is something that we as Africans live with every day. We're told we're third world. We're told we can't participate unless we're invested in by the future. I mean, Harry and I are talking next week about innovation and the fact that we are losing our innovation homegrown here because people aren't investing enough in it. Africans aren't investing in African innovation. Yet we have internationals coming in and taking our IP offshore. Because why? Because we've created something, somebody's shown an interest, they've identified the value that we have, that we think we have, and we've gone, thank you very much, I'll go with you. Whether that's Russia, whether that's the UK, whether that's the US, I'll go because you validated that I am worthy and that I have significance. It starts and ends with significance.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Kelly. We have one more.
But this guy has $150 million US.
One last one. One last one, and then back to my panelists, and then we shut it down.
Harry, we don't need to go there right now. Man. I could be.
Harry's already there.
Could be Chongwad, man, somewhere here in Mombasa. Anyway, my name is Leon Kiptum. I'm with Chipper Cash. I want to say something that I was actually having a conversation with Jack about it. George, don't kill me. I know we come from far, but
tunatoka mbali yani.
Yes, tunatoka mbali. I think we need to move away from this misconception that talent must be loyal to us. We need to move away from that because the era of undivided loyalty went a long time ago, and now we have to create value for the people that we have in our team. Yesterday was a day of mixed feelings for me because I had two conversations. One, it was with one of my staff, my top customer operations managers, who has been looking for me for the last 2 days saying, I need to have a conversation with you. And her opening statement was, Leon, I didn't want to talk to anyone else before I talk to you, but I'm tendering my resignation. Yes, that's a very difficult discussion. And I asked her several questions and tried to understand where are you coming from. She said, of course, before I came to Chipper, I had another conversation with someone else, and I really wanted to go there and whatnot and whatnot. And I asked her this question. What is it that you're getting there that I can't give you here? Is it money? She said, no. Is it that we have a bad culture? Or is it something that is not working for you in our organization? I said, no. It's just a matter of passion. It's something I really, really had been wanting to do before I came to Chipper. Your environment is good. Your culture is good. I'm happy here, but I really just need to do this. Yeah. So the era of loyalty has nothing to do sometimes with the organization, by the way. It has nothing to do with Chipper, with Safaricom, with Microsoft. Sometimes it's really just allowing the people to... We are not organizational talent managers. We are talent managers in our own right as leaders in the industry. So sometimes you can actually manage a talent that has left you. Yeah? And you allow it to grow and you nurture it. I have people that I mentor that worked for me, work somewhere else, even work with my competitors, but I still mentor them up to date. Why? Because talent management has become part and parcel of who we are as leaders in the industry, and that's how we need to embrace it. The era of loyalty, far gone. Far gone. You can create the kind of value you want in your organization for people to stay with you, but at the end of the day, we also need to realize that the people that we work with, the people that we manage, have specific passions, they have things that they want to achieve. Some actually want to break out and get out of employment, as we've had today. So we need to be conscious of that as the people who manage talent. And I think so I was saying mixed feelings because shortly after that call, I was actually interviewing someone else. So I've taken someone from one of you. Because the moment I was done with that conversation, I
and quickly, there it goes, round and round.
Yeah. So I asked them, so why are you leaving where you're coming from? Is there a problem? Why have you made the decision that you want to why did you apply for this job? Why did you want to come and work with Chip? And said, I'm really just passionate about what you guys are doing as a company, and I want to be part of something that is coming up because I have been somewhere which has been very established, and I feel like I'm just part of the bureaucratic process. So again, people just want to advance themselves in different ways. So we need to move away from thinking, I am Chipper, I am Safaricom, I am Microsoft, and my talent is my talent. No, we need to be bigger in terms of industry leaders who are actually developing people that will make a difference where we are and where they're going.
So two sides of a different coin, basically. Yes. Thank you so much, Leon. We're coming to the tail end of our conversation. Super interesting. Kamal, closing statement, 1 minute. Guy Fafa. What are we ignoring?
Let's take Georgia's late millennial. they are younger millennials and Gen Zs.
She could stop diagnosing me.
You have not met my daughters, who are Gen Alpha.
Yes, exactly.
The other day, she was asking my wife, "Why are you guys in the? Why do you guys always have the master bedroom? How come we don't have the master bedroom?" You have not dealt with Gen Alpha yet.
And that's I was hoping that that comes out in this conversation, because we call him director in our team. There's a guy we call director because his goal is to be a director. And he says, Shiko, me, I can make money by sitting I don't need to be employed by anybody. I come to
How
work.
old is he?
He's 20, maybe 27. 27. I come to work
Bitcoin.
because I want to hang out with my friends and do meaningful work. It's not the money. I can make double that money doing work online.
Bitcoin.
No, coding, actually. He's a very good developer. Jack would just scare you. So, I have not seen any names.
Everybody is on Jack's case.
Then
Jack,
George.
I'll give you the last word.
And George and Jack would just scare you. So for me, we have to be very conscious of the generation that we are employing. It's no longer the kind of generation that we were in, where we saw our parents stay in jobs for 30, 40 years. And us, the next generation is a 10-year span. Now they're saying 3 months, 6 months. When you look at a CV, it's 6 months, 9 months. If somebody has done the most, it's 18 months. Yeah, because the attachment to that particular role is because of their friends and what they get beyond the money, because they can make that money anywhere and anyhow.
Shiko, I completely agree with you. On that same statement, on that same wavelength, I swear to God, this is true story. I was sitting in an interview, young guy, and the HR lady finally asked this guy a question like, how come you're not staying for 1 year, 9 months here, another one 6 months? What is wrong? Is there something wrong with you? Do you know what his answer was? Why are you not asking whether there's something wrong with that employer? Why is it always something wrong with the employee? How? Why couldn't they keep me? I'm off. That was the end of the story, by the way. The guy was like, Ochaikai. Kamal?
So that's closing remarks, yeah?
Closing remarks, please.
Ali, there's the last guy here.
Hey, Ari Bana, we're publisher.
No, the one who's taking time. This guy.
Which guy is that now?
It's been out like this.
Wewe umeongwa wewe. Sure, please proceed.
Okay, thanks. By way of introduction, my name is Simon Juguna, CIO, NCBA Bank. Just to comment on...
Nataka kukuona baada ya hapa. Tuongee offline.
Okay. Just to comment on the whole issue on talent, I would just encourage George, if you think Safaricom is bleeding, just have a look at the banking and how we are suffering from that whole game of poaching and loss of talent, good talent, and so on and so on. But as one of my directors says, I don't think we can hold it much longer. We cannot hold people. We've tried everything, and the good thing that this poaching and talent movement has created, it has actually awakened our HR departments, if there is anyone from HR here, to rethink on what we are doing right and what we are doing wrong, what we are doing traditionally that is not applying to the current talent pool within the organization. We've tried everything. We've tried it's called what? Counter offering. We've tried bonding people. We've tried all those, and nothing is working. People are still going. And you can't tie a guy who means to go, even for a day. They mean to go, they go. If you look at, and that's why I think in the Kenyan market it's quite a paradox, because we have so many people who are jobless, and we have so many people who are trained, but we cannot get the right skills to do some of the jobs that we have. And yet, I think it's only in Kenya you can get a guy with PhD in veterinary medicine and computer science at the same time. And people are really, really learned in this country, but trying to get the right skills to come and do the right job for you, it's such a challenge.
That's
so
interesting.
I think that's is a thing that we cannot stop. let the movement happen, let people move around. I think at the end of the day, there'll be an equilibrium where everybody will play their role to ensure that then we get the right skills when we need them, and let the people grow. There are people who in their 20s want to work for Microsoft. That's a personal, they want that brand in their CV. You can't stop them. We just have to let the market play, but we have to do our part to ensure that services like banking don't stop. So I'm trying to poach, so if you have good talent, I'll come for them. So it's just, that's where we are. Thank you.
This now has become a Savo National Park. Poachers are all over the place. Kamal, over to you.
I think you said something right at the last statement. So for us at Little, we want to build a great company. We are building a great company. So great that, let's say, if the CEO for Microsoft comes to Kenya, he would say, Jack, I want to go and see the guys for Little. So we are building that company, and if you have some guys who can help us to build that company, please tell them to send me the CV at hr@little.africa. hr@little.africa, please.
But Kamal, you said you don't have an HR, Nani.
Okay, send it at kamal@little.africa.
Paris, over to you, sir.
Yeah, I've just sort of crystallized my thoughts into a short statement. But basically, we've achieved our dream. And you know, like, there's a Chinese curse that may you achieve what you've been looking for. This is what happens when you become a hub of tech. And, like, people come and poach talent and it becomes more expensive. This is what Kenya has been working towards. The solution to lack of demand is high prices. Like, literally, because there's a shortage, prices go up and you meet the demand. This is a feature, not a bug. For this ecosystem to grow, this is part of it. And finally, clustering will happen. Google, Amazon, one of these guys will come, and the first person they'll go after is Microsoft. Because that's exactly what happened with Amazon in Seattle.
100%.
Amazon set up in Seattle because Microsoft was there and poached from Microsoft.
100%.
It will only get worse. Like,
Or
it's
better.
not getting better. No.
Or better.
The complaints about salaries going up, they are going to keep going up because now that Microsoft has set up, other people are going to be, I am sure, the Googles, Amazons of the world are looking at Kenya as a hub, and they will set up. And so even Microsoft will have to pay more for it. We literally just have to accept that the ecosystem has to grow. The era of low salaries is over, and we just move on with our lives.
Thank you, Faris. George, you know there's something that Jack said, and I don't think you've responded to it. Could you respond to it in your closing statement? That statement, for me, resonated to no end. And he said, so you guys want us to pay low salaries? You're saying we are paying 2-3 times salaries. You want us to pay low salaries? Please respond to that in your closing statement. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Jack. Allow me to say this, that...
Why has your voice gone low? Huh?
No.
I cannot order a drink for you, my brother.
No.
Upewe, moja.
You can order one. But the point I'm saying is this, huh? Anytime a Kenyan does better than they're doing today, I'm happy as an individual. I'm not about my company. Ali, you know how many companies I've worked for. Probably next year I'll be in a different company. So it's not about the company I'm in, not Microsoft, don't say that. But anytime somebody is able to do better for themselves and for their family, I'm happy. But back to my comment, so that's my answer to Jack's comment that you've raised. But what am I passionate about and what do I believe in? I think what has happened, I actually believe adversity shakes you up and allows you to step into greatness. I love what Microsoft did because it allowed us to have a critical conversation with our HR, with my CEO, and now we have a different model that we're working on IT. The entire IT remuneration and everything is changing because of some of those things. It was difficult to have that conversation before, but as we saw more and more talent leave, we had to have that conversation.
You need to buy Jack a black label double.
I don't need to buy Jack a Black
You
Label.
need to, because he's made you do things, forced you to do things that are great.
I was going to do them either way.
Okay, good.
So he was just a catalyst. So a catalyst is something that fastens a reaction. If you remember chemistry, Ali, it doesn't mean that the catalyst is what caused the reaction. It just hastened it.
Shots fired.
So I went to a good school. So
we both,
you and I. But allow me to bring it back to what Kamal said. Tomorrow you may see me and I'll be wearing an African shirt. The lady who made the shirt is a lady who I met at a point where she was really trying to get her business going. And initially she had a Kabambe phone, and through doing a lot of her shirt business, she moved from her Kabambe phone to a smartphone. Now, most of you know what Kabambe is all about. And I actually reflected on Mulikamwizi. I reflected on the word Kabambe and actually thought, that Kabambe has a lot to do with seizing opportunities. But there's only so much of opportunities you can do with a Kabambe. And that's why when I looked at Kamal's little app and opportunities, you can only get it with a smartphone. And when I reflect about the work we do at Safaricom, it's not just about data and voice and mobile money. It's really about the opportunities we can put in the hands of Kenyans. Now, this lady has a smartphone. I sent her several pictures now. Before, I had to go and flip through a magazine and tell her I like this shirt, this shirt. Now, I can send her pictures on WhatsApp. She looks at them, responds to me, and I say, please do this. And literally yesterday, as I was on my way to the airport, she sent a rider on Bolt to the airport. Sorry, Kamal. She sent a rider on Bolt. I'm going to tell her to use Little going forward. I swear.
Now
I'm going to tell her if I work with you,
was.
you need to use Little.
Thank
For
you.
450 shillings, she sent a rider from CBD to the airport, delivered my shirt for me, and I paid her on M-Pesa. I had not seen...
Jack, our wamelipa, sorry, Harry, wamelipa enough advertising. This is product placement here.
No. Watch premium there.
Premium.
Listen, so the point I'm trying to make, it comes back to what Kamal said. It's really about purpose. When I looked at that transaction and this lady and how she transformed her lives, it's not about Excel or Access or PowerPoint. It's really about putting something in her hand that is able to make her earn a living and be able to actually reach me, get paid, pay in future Little. Look at that whole ecosystem. And other people who like her work, and I was in the US last week and I wore her shirt and people told me, I like this, how can I get it? I can connect her to those people. They can, because she has a smartphone, they can WhatsApp together, share their measurement. She can be able to use M-Pesa Global to get money, or they can pay her through various means, Sendway, wherever. So the point I'm actually trying to bring, Ali, is this. If that lady's life can actually be transformed through the use of our technology, we need more engineers who are building solutions that are able to help that lady and a million others be able to do what they do, and that's my joy. That lady's life is not being transformed by Windows, by Access, Excel, or whatever. That lady's life is being transformed by a smartphone and by M-Pesa and everything that transforms it. And that's the welcome I have for Kamal and everybody else who builds solutions in Kenya, for Kenyans, and for Africa. That's what we need to be doing.
Thank you, George. Thank you, George. Cecilia,
I just
closing
want
statements.
to touch on something that Shiko said, which is very important. People need to understand the different types of talent that you have. It's not just the generations, the different generations, but it's also the types of players that you have. You have A players, B players, C players, and they need to be managed differently, they need to be given different opportunities, and they need to be the whole purpose that you're talking about. An A player will really come out strongly compared to a C player. If you don't understand the talent that you have, again, you manage them badly, then they move on. So I thought that was a very good point that you commented on. But just to close this conversation, we have to, as Faris has said, the wars, as we're saying, will continue to grow. We're privileged. We are sitting in an environment where we are attracting large organizations. It means our talent is good. But how do we move away from the little that we have and we create a larger pool of talent? If we don't address the scarcity of talent, we will be talking about this conversation 10 years from now. And my question to the employers that are seated here, other than the small, well, maybe it's not small, other than the training institutions that have already been developed, how can it be done on a large scale to train the talent that is out there, the youth that are out there? Can we offer to develop the curriculums that are being taught in universities and tertiary education systems? Can we commit as employers and say, these are the skills that we want, let's talk with other stakeholders, let's develop this curriculum so that the net effect of that is that 10, 15, 20 years from now, we'll have a wider pool of talent to be able to choose from. It will benefit the youth, it will benefit the organizations, and unless we have that long-term view, we'll keep going round in circles.
Vicious cycle.
The talent was.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cecilia, for your closing statements. Ahmed?
Not being product placement, but the fact that I run the company called Disruptive, I enjoy the fact that there is disruption that is happening.
Nawasikia tu
Ari hakuna shida,
I'm your accountant here.
Itatuma M-Pesa. So I think disruption is quite it's a good thing, to be honest. It gets us to be creative. It gets us to think of solutions. Everything everyone has said, I think, has one or two things that all of us need to implement. The gentleman said something about signing off the leave interview, exit interview forms, and it hit really hard. Not because there's the time I remember when I was leaving and I was writing, and you just don't know, should you be honest or should you just make them happy? The funny thing, a solution towards that,
So
and
what did you finally do? Make them happy or be honest?
I'll tell you on the side. The one thing that the solution came from now a current team member was a solution that, how about instead of sitting in status meetings, we have status every once a week. Instead of going through work, how about we just ask each other, how are you? And genuinely, how are you? Like, as a person. We try and avoid the fact that we are all humans, it has been mentioned. No matter how latest technologies come up, no matter how far we want to go with our ambitions, we are humans. And we humans have something that affects us that sometimes we just need to talk about it to feel better. So respect the fact that a business, a brand is not anything without people. Value these people as much as you can. Lift them. I love what George said. If they succeed, as long as they're doing well, it's good for all of us. It doesn't need to be about, has to be me. And that's where envy goes. You support one another. You lost this time, you'll win tomorrow. That would be mine.
Ahmed, thank you so much. I think I want to give Jack an opportunity to say one last thing, and then I close this out. And then I hand it over back to my brother from another mother, Mr. Harry Hare.
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, in my view, first of all, I don't think it's a Microsoft versus Safaricom kind of thing. We respect Safaricom. We know they have done excellent amount of work. They have transformed lives in Africa. Well, in Kenya now, going to Ethiopia. They are a company to watch, and it's one of those blue chip companies that we are proud of. Everywhere you go, you talk about M-Pesa, and it has put us on the map as East Africans. So there's a lot to be proud about. We also have to think about the next horizon, or what are the things we want to be proud about, beyond just achievements that our companies have done. We want our individuals to shine. And part of it is inviting global companies to play here. I always use this analogy in closing, Ali. If we had, imagine if you had a manufacturing plant for Mercedes-Benz, for Toyota, for Mazda, for Honda, in the 90s and in the 80s in Kenya. How many qualified engineers for motor vehicles would we have here right now? You would not have a problem that you have to import parts from Germany or wherever if you have one of those big cars that George drives. You wouldn't. You wouldn't.
Wow.
You'd have.
You guys must have a drink after this.
I'll buy you a drink, George. I'm just kidding. But the fact is, you would definitely have that transformation in livelihoods from a skill set, and I think last year the advanced party for Google was in Kenya, just figuring out what the talent looks like. And the year before it was Facebook, and when I spoke to them, and I'm not speaking as Microsoft, I'm speaking as Jack Ngare, who believes that talent here should actually be given an opportunity to shine. I told them, please come. And they looked at me and were like, we actually thought this meeting, you tell us how the talent is not that great, how, you shouldn't come now, give it some time. And I was like, no, come. Yes, it will create a problem for me, for sure. But you have to come. Because now is the time for all tech companies to come to Africa and invest here. So I will not be afraid. We will deal with it. So,
Jack,
in summary,
thank you so much.
Ali, you owe me a drink, though.
I do.
I was not going to come for this panel, though.
100%, I do.
I agree with Jack. If Kenya becomes the hotbed of talent hunts in Africa, then Kenya gains. You listen to me for now. So, Jack, we've agreed and we'll hang out. Let's make Africa the hotbed of tech talent in Africa. When people talk about India, let them start talking about Kenya.
Well done, George. Guys, I want to thank everyone. We've been here for 2.5 hours. I think this is the longest panel I've ever had. And guys are still like, we want more. I really want to thank everyone. Before I hand over to Harry to tell us what next, because he told us good morning when he came. Obviously, there is something else that we don't know about. But I really, really want to thank my panelists, each one individually in a special way. I want to thank all of you guys. And for some of us who've been in this tech ecosystem literally from the beginning, we were sitting, Harry and I and others were sitting in meetings with Dr. Ndemo when the undersea cables had not hit Mombasa. Harry, do you remember those 6 a.m. meetings in Dr. Ndemo's office? So this country and the continent has come from far, and we still will go far. So I like what Shiko said. Iron sharpens iron. So these, I think it was the acting Director General of the Communications Authority who said something to us at the Kenya ICT Action Network, KICTANET, because us guys, when it comes to ICT policy at KICTANET, we have zero chills. Absolutely zero chills. And we have made good enemies and bad enemies, and we continue to do it. What I want to say, she said something that was very, very important for me, and I saw it here today. Sort of what Shiko said, but in another interesting way. She said, creative tension is super important for growth. So guys, I want to thank everyone. Hand over back to Harry, but we must first clap for ourselves.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, panel. Amazing discussions, but Michi tells me you guys did not give solutions, so we need another 2 hours of discussions. Michi? Okay? All right. No, you have to continue for another 2 hours. We need solutions. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Please give them a round of applause. I think this has been a very interesting discussion. A lot of nuggets. We have work to do, guys. That's the bottom line. We have work to do. We will push until Jesus comes. But the solution to that is we just need to build a pipeline. Kwisha. We all need to invest in people, build people. We call ourselves an academy for PR companies as CIO Africa. Because what happens is PR companies normally hire writers who do not understand tech. So they have tech companies in their portfolio. So they need somebody who can write tech. So where do they poach? Yeah. So we call ourselves an academy for PR companies. So we just have to continue training people. We need to continue investing in people. And I like what Paul Njuguna said. It doesn't matter where those people go. Let them go. They will work for another company. They will work for your competitor. By the end of the day, they will put food on their table and they will build a nation. So let's build Kenya, let's build the continent. Asanteni na usiku mwema.